This is my story. It's the usual thing. Struggling student working his way through college, in love with the girl next door. Well, I suppose it does have an unusual twist. You see, fate handed me amazing powers, and I made a promise to use those powers to help people. With great power comes great responsibility.
Spider-Man 2 is the first big action game for the PlayStation Portable. Dynasty Warriors threw in a game board, Metal Gear morphed into a strategy game, but Spidey hits the handheld system from Sony as a straight-up brawling game. 19 levels of punching, kicking, and web swinging. And it's a completely different game from the console edition from last year. New graphics, new levels, new boss encounters, new story threads, even new cutscenes with the voices of the stars of the movie, Tobey Maguire and Alfred Molina.
Enough of this, Spider-Man!
What, are you turning yourself in then?
No. Guess again.
It's a new game, but it plays like a hybrid from previous Spider-Man games. Spidey has many of the moves from the console edition. The diving kick, that uppercut, the neck ride, even a lot of the web moves like the gun lasso and the web rodeo. What it doesn't have is the open city, go anywhere gameplay of the console game. There are sections of this game set in little portions of the city that you can web swing around in, but the barriers are tight, and the outlying areas of Manhattan are drawn in just to give the section that you're playing in more reality. That free-roaming gameplay was what made the console game so much cooler than Peter Parker's last adventures, so it feels like going back in time to play a Spider-Man game without it. Still, the web swinging sections they do give are big and easy to play around in with the new Easy Swing web system. Just by holding down the button and directing the direction you want to go and how high you want to swing, you can go anywhere in a stage quickly. Secret spider tokens are hidden in the levels, so you'll want to zip around and see what you can find. Visually, Spider-Man leaps off the screen. The creator behind this game is Vicarious Visions, and if you want to see a game that shows off the PSP's powers in the effects department, check out this game's awesome display. Spidey himself is drawn with great textures and this killer lighting technique that wraps around his body. He looks like he's right there on the screen, like out of a comic book, and the character models are good enough to get right up in his face for a close-up. Other characters are pretty good as well. Many of the returning bosses look about as good as they did the last time you fought them on PS2. On the other hand, the enemy thugs you fight are bare-bone blockheads again. Also, the camera is squirrely. It's always been a problem capturing Spider-Man's fast movements and wall-crawling abilities in a video game, but the PSP screen is smaller than you used to, and the number of buttons is a few short of what Spidey had on consoles. The developers did about as well as they could, so you may just have to get used to being out of control sometimes. This is a fun game, but it's not nearly as inventive as the big screen Spider-Man games. Most of the puzzles are simple, and the new moves in Spider-Man's arsenal, they're not that exciting. Also, those 19 stages, they blow by way too fast. We finished this game, our first playthrough, in just one battery charge. Make sure you bump up the difficulty as soon as you get a feel for the controls, or you'll spoil some of the better stages before you know it. Also, some of the best stages end just as they're getting good. Short levels in a short game. You can run through the stages again to collect secrets and unlock the Spider-Man gallery, but there's not a ton of stuff to find, so you'll be finished with this part pretty quick as well. Spider-Man 2 for the PlayStation Portable isn't going to grab you like any of the console games, but as a handheld edition of one of the most popular games out there, it's enough to get wrapped up in.